Hi, welcome back to Manufacturing Tomorrow's Workforce. I'm your host, Amanda Saam, and thanks for joining us today for another workforce conversation. Before we get started, with only 4 days remaining until the nomination deadline, I'd like to remind you to recognize an innovative and influential woman from your organization by nominating her to be one of this year's Influential Women in Manufacturing. The deadline is March 31st, so don't wait, nominate now. Moving on to today's discussion, partnerships between manufacturers and educators could be one of the keys to success for those organizations looking to fill their workforce vacancies with skilled workers. But there's several other keys that can help unlock workforce potential. One of them is gender diversity in manufacturing. In this interview, Christine LaFave-Gray speaks with Sheri Plain, Director of Workforce Services at Owensboro Community and Technical College, and Amanda Saam, a new maintenance technician hire at Hitachi, to learn about the program they've developed with manufacturers in their community and how they're working to remove the barriers to entrance for women in the field. Without any further ado, here's the interview.
Owensboro, Kentucky has a need, skilled manufacturing workers, and it needs them in a big way. Manufacturers in the region face dire shortages of skilled multi-craft technicians, placing these companies' production and growth targets at risk. Fortunately, they're also getting local help to address this need. Owensboro Community and Technical College, in partnership with local employers who are involved with the Greater Owensboro chapter of the Federation for Advanced Manufacturing Education, or GoFame, offers an advanced manufacturing technician training program to help build the skills of individuals who are already working in industry, but who need more training to advance in their careers. Through the program, students work while attending school on an accelerated schedule and can complete a 2-year Associate of Applied Science degree in 20 months. A little while back, program coordinators noted a huge area of opportunity. 44% of technical students at OCTC are women, but only 7% of them were involved in manufacturing programs. In addition, although women have a presence on the production floor at area manufacturing companies, they haven't been advancing into, for example, maintenance technician roles. Sheri Plain wanted to do something about that. Sheri is Director of Workforce Services at the college and is principal investigator on a new project funded by a $500,000 grant from the National Science Foundation that looks to better understand why women aren't participating in the Advanced Manufacturing Technician Training Program in higher numbers, and how to remove the barriers to their participation so that they can advance in their careers and local manufacturers can better address their critical workforce needs. I'm talking today with Sheri as well as Amanda Saam, who a few years ago was a recent graduate of the Industrial Maintenance Technology Program at Somerset Community College in Kentucky, and then a new maintenance technician hire at Hitachi. This summer, Amanda embarked on a new adventure. She signed on to teach at Owensboro Community and Technical College. Sheri and Amanda, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Now, one of the key points of this program, the National Science Foundation grant-funded program, is a focus group, reaching out to individuals in the community, to women who maybe contemplated participating in the program or who started but didn't finish, to find out why aren't they moving forward with it. What did you find from these focus groups? Where are these women working? How did you identify them to participate? And what did you hear from them?
Okay, I'm glad to start. This is Sheri, and I'm glad to start with that to let you know how we identified the potential participants. We actually opened it up to any of our manufacturing employers who were already participating in our GoFame program. And the employers who actually had the largest amount of women already working in their facilities were the ones who are most interested. And we'll continue this and still offer it to any company who would like to participate, but we had 2 companies that were very interested in being our first groups, and that was Sun Windows and UniFirst in Owensboro. It was purely voluntary that all the women working in the production areas were invited to participate if they were interested. They knew that it was an opportunity to learn more about a training program. So those who had some interest in potentially pursuing that were the ones who actually participated.
Okay, that's great. What did you hear? What were some of the overarching comments that you heard, about the program and maybe what was stopping them from moving forward with it?
Well, the most, probably the number one thing that we heard from the women, and we talked to 31 women in total, was that time was their biggest challenge. It was important for them to work full-time, retain their full-time salaries, their full-time benefits. Many of the women were the single income earners of their family. They were also, many of them, the single caretaker of their family. So working and retaining those full-time benefits is very important to them, and that was the biggest obstacle for them pursuing training in the past. Some of the other things that we heard were accessibility. They very much liked the idea of training, but weren't able to come to the college and sit through a program, or the opportunities weren't close enough. They really needed something that was available in between breaks at work or immediately after work or before work. So accessibility was also a key issue.
Okay. And that's really interesting, too, the point that you've made about women being the single income earners in their households. I know I've had a chance to speak with you before. You mentioned that men sometimes have opportunities to take on extra work that women who are in that role haven't been able to. Can you elaborate a little bit more there?
Yes, actually in our Go Fame program, as it's designed, the participants will take classes 2 days a week, 2 full days a week, and then they work a minimum of 3 days a week in their sponsoring employer. And so any work or time that they might miss being in class, they were more easily able to make up that time to work overtime or to work on the weekends or to work over a shift, because they may not have that same family commitment or child care commitment that some of our females did.
Right. Okay. That's such a critical point that can so easily get overlooked if you're not asking about the barriers.
Yes.
It sometimes seems like it's so easy to take sort of an easy way out of, well, women just aren't interested in these programs, or weren't interested in applying, or these weren't jobs that they were aspiring to. But when you dig a little deeper, you found some really interesting results. Amanda, how has this resonated with your experience? Can you tell a little bit about your story and background and involvement with the program, and what appealed to you about going back and becoming an instructor then?
Sure. Yeah. Basically, I found myself going through a divorce and losing everything. I lost my car. I lost my house. The only thing that I really got to keep was my kiddo, thank God. But I knew that I needed to find something and do more. And so I did a lot of research, and I found that the world needs more maintenance technicians, and so I thought, well, that would be something worth a shot. Not only are there not enough qualified technicians, but there aren't enough females in it, to say the least. So I ended up taking everything that I could while working, and unfortunately, the program in Somerset, you had to go Monday through Friday, 8 to 3. It's a very set-in-stone program, and there was no bending in that at all. So at some point, I did have to let go of the job that I had and just submerge myself fully into school. I'm very thankful that I had a wonderful support system to help with my kiddo along the way. But that's one of the things that I'm really excited about our program, is that we are trying to remove those barriers and cross those areas off of the list of things that may keep a potential industrial maintenance technician from pursuing, their career path. So it's very exciting, and I'm really excited to be a part of all of this.
Sure. That's excellent. From these focus groups and from people you've talked to about the program, Amanda or Sheri, is there any comment or any story that you've heard in particular that sticks out in your mind?
Actually, we did hear 2 or 3 stories that really resonated with us. One was a lady who was telling us that she already performed some of those maintenance skills on the job. She's learned those over time, and she does it. She's required to follow the channels in her production process and call the maintenance department to have someone, but she was tired of waiting on them, so she would go in and actually fix it herself, but she didn't get any recognition for it, and she really wasn't supposed to be doing it, but she was doing it naturally. So she was excited about the idea of earning a credential that would say, yes, you can really do this. And then we had a couple of ladies that would talk about going up for promotions, and were constantly told that they didn't have enough training, they didn't have the right credential or degree, they needed more experience. So they were glad to have this opportunity to be able to have that, or to earn that experience and earn that credential so that they could go after those promotions.
Yeah, that's great. Well, how did what you've heard, and what you've learned, how did it inform some of the changes that you're making to the program, in terms of online offerings or being able to participate in labs during breaks or before or after shifts? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, certainly, because we actually started the project thinking that the biggest obstacle might be the environment, as far as women feeling uncomfortable in a male-dominated environment, and that's not what we found at all. They were willing and eager to earn those skills and to be able to work alongside the men in the maintenance technician area, but it was things like, scheduling and being able to go to school while working full-time. Also, money was an issue. It was very important for them. They couldn't take on any extra debt. They couldn't pay for college without some type of, supplement, which we're very fortunate in our area to have good scholarship programs through the state, the Kentucky Work Ready Scholarship, which will pay for almost all of their tuition. We have a 15 to finish scholarship in Kentucky that'll pay for a lot of their credit. So we'll almost be at the point where their tuition and their fees and their books and their supplies will almost be paid for, if not completely paid for.
That's excellent. What a great thing to know. But again, it's part of that's getting the word out too, making the changes and then getting the word out that this is available. Was there anything that you discovered in this process? You've been working on the project since July that maybe you also hadn't thought about in terms of resources or laptops or social media groups, things that might be helpful.
Definitely. We've learned that it's very important to make learning as stress-free and as easy as possible for both men and women, but particularly women who are working full-time and taking care of their families. They don't have time to go out and worry about technology and to make sure that they have laptops or what's needed. So as the more that we can have that available to them, when and where it's most convenient, the more likely they are to participate and to finish. So that's probably the biggest thing that we've learned in this, is that we almost took for granted that we have beautiful labs at all of our college locations, right, state-of-the-art equipment, and very innovative. However, if it's not easily accessible to those who are very busy and who are working, then it doesn't get used by that particular target group. So wherever possible, we need to bring that process, that learning process and opportunity to them.
Okay. Amanda, how has your experience as someone who's lived this and gone through it, how does that inform your approach as an as an instructor and the conversations that you have with students?
Well, basically, I let them know that I've been in their shoes. For the most part, they're not going to face anything that I haven't faced as well. And it's important that they know that, we're in this together. They're not on their own. I'm in it with them. I'll be there and do everything that I can to help support them and encourage them and inspire them. One of the things that I really was excited about was, building that kindred, the sisterhood that we're looking for here.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest thing that's inspired me and actually brought me here to Owensboro is trying to really help remove those barriers and to lift one another up. We don't have enough of that. We don't have enough women lifting one another up. And when we get to a point where we can do that, we are going to dominate the field.
That's excellent. That's awesome. The other side of it, you obviously need the help of employer partners, and it's excellent to have that buy-in initially and everything. But when we're hearing that we need, some more flexibility and some more options, what were those conversations with local employers like? Were they on board with, offering a little bit greater flexibility?
Yes, actually, the employers were supportive in the very beginning. They're actually the reason that we even pursued the grant in the fall of 2017 because they were very appreciative of the Go Fame program, and while that was producing more technicians for them, there was still a need. So they were looking at their untapped resource of the females who were working there. And so they were very much supportive of us pursuing this, and it was actually their idea. Now, I will tell you, once we got the grant and started the project, it was, we had some discussions around, how would this actually work, because they're high-producing female production workers. They really didn't want to lose them for extended periods of time to school.
Sure.
So we had to look at some opportunities there. And so they are very perceptive about, since the women themselves are telling us what is standing in their way, that does go very far with the employers. It's not just a college coming in and telling them, you need to do this and do that. It's actually the women working in the field saying, this is what we need in order to participate. So they're receptive to that. And for our first group that will be starting this fall, we do have a couple of employers that hopefully we'll be able to announce very soon that will be our chief participants and champions of this project. And we're working out details now, such as that, release time and logistics and being on site, those type of things.
Great. We'll be eager to follow up and hear more about those. So what would you say you've learned from this entire process so far? It's a 3-year grant, but what have you learned so far about access to manufacturing career development opportunities?
I think the one thing that we've learned with females who are not familiar with the manufacturing environment, that it's going to take more than us just recruiting them face-to-face. So Amanda's going to be doing some really neat things with giving them some hands-on fun activities in some of our innovation labs, in robotics and different things. And so we're really excited about some of those opportunities that we'll have. But we have learned that women who have some experience, some exposure to manufacturing are very interested in pursuing this.
That's great. Amanda, you mentioned your kiddo. What about outreach to to high schools or to students your kids' age? What are you looking forward to there?
Oh yes, we've actually been visiting some high schools and trying to put a spotlight on the opportunities available for females in manufacturing. And one of the things that we're working on is creating what I'm referring to as feminist clubs to encourage females in the STEM area. Yes. feminist. So that's something we're working on, or just, developing these clubs and just spotlighting that these are options, and these are fun options, and it can really lead to a very successful, lucrative career path. I think a lot of it, we really do need to reach them, even possibly a step further, and try the middle school age girls, because, women as a being are very social, and if we can reach them at that, very influenced age, then maybe we can get one. You're probably going to get two or three, and just got to get their attention and get them excited and keep them excited and very motivated. And one of the reasons that I want to do this is so that girls such as my daughter, if we can break the barriers now, this is going to be a much easier transition for them. At some point, it won't be any sort of barrier at all. It'll be the norm, and that's our goal.
That's such a great point. Well, and that was going to get to my final closing question. Sheri, what are some of your ultimate goals for the program, for this project specifically?
Okay. Specifically, we want to serve at least 2 cohorts of incumbent worker females to get them started on the pathway to an advanced manufacturing technician associate degree. We also want to recruit more females into our traditional Go Fame program. We had 1 female accepted into the program last year, and she left the program after 3 months. So we're excited that as of today we have 2 females who have applied, and so we hope to have more. So we want to increase those numbers as well. So we have a pipeline.
Yeah, it's all about the pipeline of talent.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Sheri and Amanda for their time today, and thank you for listening. For Manufacturing Tomorrow's Workforce, I'm Christine LaFave Grace. Have a great rest of your day.
And that was Christine's interview with Sheri Plain and Amanda Saam. Don't forget to check out the description for links to the program and other relevant content. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another great workforce discussion for you. Until then, subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Thanks for listening.